Hello and welcome to a lordsofgaming.net special preview of Iron Harvest. Iron Harvest is the upcoming RTS game from King Art Games set in the alternate universe of 1920 plus. It has been described as a diesel punk themed alternative universe set just after World War One. So we got the pleasure of playing against some of the developers, in which you probably have watched already on this channel, in a 3v3 environment, but I want to take some time and talk about what really makes Iron Harvest special in this preview just ahead, as the review for this game is just around the corner. So we're going to be talking a little bit about what is available in the current state of the game, because the game is currently available in open beta on Steam. So you can, if you find this game interesting and it's something that you want to play, you can go right to Steam right now and you can play the open beta. It has multiplayer and it has the first 5 campaigns, stories, I believe, and what you can experience in this game is truly incredible. As someone who has a deep and very knowledgeable RTS background as one of my favorite genres, I really am taken away with this game, because it really is such a beautiful example of what makes RTS games so much fun. It's such a balance of what is your strategy and how can you execute that strategy. Right now in this gameplay footage you're seeing one of the first campaign missions, which kind of gives you a basis of what to expect in the game, not necessarily in terms of its scale. The scale of this game is incredible, but I didn't want to show off too much, because if you find this interesting, you'll want to experience some of this stuff yourself. So in this first campaign mission, it's going to show you some basic cover techniques and how to move your troops around. This game is truly incredible in how well the first few story missions that are available really teach you the mechanics of this game and how you can really improve on it right off the bat. And it's one of the key focuses of Iron Harvest, is that I've had just as much fun playing the single player aspect of the game as I have with skirmishing with my friends as well, which is a really unique aspect with RTS games, because some RTS games feel more geared to the campaign while others feel more geared towards the multiplayer. Iron Harvest is kind of like a perfect blend of both of those playstyles, so you can have a blast with your friends with this game, as well as, you know, play the campaign and really enjoy the campaign. I would recommend when you're starting the game, though, to definitely check out the campaign first, because there is a lot to this game and how the cover mechanics work. So I want to talk a little bit about the cover mechanics. So what really separates this game from, say, your Age of Empires or Age of Mythology or any of those great classic RTS games, those are my personal favorites, is of course the cover system, and how terrain plays a very important factor in how you navigate and negotiate your battles against other players or the AI. So basically, when you're using a cover system, you can order your troops to go behind cover, and it provides them a more defensive position. Now, this can also lead to disadvantages as well, depending on what angle you're on. It requires you to be adaptive and always be focusing on what units you have. Different troops and enemy types all come into play as well in classic RTS fashion. You know, certain troops work against other troops better. For example, you can't see it in this clip in particular, but standard infantry gets absolutely cut down by flamethrower troops, but are also weak to other varieties of troops as well. So it kind of gives you that classic RTS balance of, okay, so my enemy's playing these characters, so I need to play these characters to counter them. But also the terrain and the environment around you plays a huge factor into that. And one of the coolest aspects of Iron Harvest that I really want to touch on is the minimalist approach to building. And when I say a minimalist approach to building, I don't mean necessarily that you can't build a lot. It's about the options you have when you build. So basically, when it comes to making your troops and building up your forces, you have two main production facilities. You can use your main headquarters to produce your basic engineers and your basic foot infantry, but you will need basically a workshop that produces your mechs and a barracks that will produce your troops. Everything else is defensive based or defensive orientated, or your base defense, or cutting off key choke points, or anything along those lines. From pillboxes to MG nests to just simple sandbags to make cover for your troops. And that's kind of what makes this game really special, is the ability to craft the map around what your game plan is. There's a perfect example of this is when fighting cover to cover. Sometimes if you have engineers in your ranks, you can build sandbag fortifications if you want to hold the point, because during multiplayer games of Iron Harvest, you have to capture and hold points to earn victory points. So the person with the most control points obviously wins the game, or if you eliminate your opponent. However, what's really unique with Iron Harvest is that you can build defensive fortifications around these control points. So say, for example, you take a bridge, a control point that's located near a bridge, you can build sandbags up and MG nests around that to better defend your control points. You can hold it longer. This is different than most RTS games where you would have to simply use your soldiers to try to hold and choke the enemy off in different areas. You have to use everything. You have to use the terrain. You can use the buildings. You can hide and stash troops and units inside village houses and outlying buildings. And this provides a certain element of surprise that you can have on your enemy, as well as providing defensive capabilities. It's just a really unique feature. And what I really love is that in the 3 different classes of Iron Harvest, you have your Rusviets, you have your Polania, and you have your Saxony. All of these different factions really provide you a different playstyle. Polania is more based around being middle. It's very good on defense. It's very good on offense. But the Rusviets, I've found in my experience so far, have been astounding at offense. Meanwhile, Saxony is very well geared to defense. So if you can take a point, it's really easy to hold it with Saxony. So these factions really play well around your play style. And that's what I think I most enjoy about this game, is it took me very little time to find a faction that really spoke to me and really made me enjoy the game. This game's has a very steep learning curve, but once you get a couple of games in, it starts feeling very natural and it's very quick. And the games are intense, and you can lose hours in this game very, very quickly. Because of how immersive this game is. It's a wonderful game. The soundtrack is absolutely fantastic. I can not say enough about how great the soundtrack is from what I've heard so far in the game. And I'm just overall really impressed with the game as a cohesive whole from what I've played in this open demo. Because in the open demo, in a very rare form, and a very transparent move, and I want to give the developers King Art Games a lot of credit for this, is that they did a rather brilliant move. This game has been basically an open beta for the past few weeks, and in this open beta, you are allowed to access 5 campaign missions and various skirmish maps and play multiplayer games. So you can get a pretty good idea of what you want out of this game. And kind of one of the most brilliant things about Iron Harvest, from what I've played so far, has been the fact that it is really good at both of these things. It is very balanced. It is a lot of fun. It's great to play with my friends, especially if they're not good at RTS games, because if you have a couple of games under your belt, you can really, really take it to your friends. And it's just overall a brilliant game, and the campaign is very addictive. I finished the first 5 campaign missions and left going, I want more. And that's something very rare that I find from an RTS game, because most of the time with RTS games, the campaign feels incredibly tacked on. This is not the case with Iron Harvest. There is a very interesting story that they've managed to lay out in front of you with the first 5 campaign missions. I'm very interested to see where this story leads. And there was mentions of a 4th faction within the story, so I'm kind of interested to see what that means going forward, post-launch, of course. So it'll be very interested to see what more they do with this game. It's just overall, it's a brilliant game. And I really think it's going to be a sleeper hit of the fall. It releases September 1st on PC, Steam. There will be a console port coming in 2021. It is currently, as I've stated previously, it is available in open beta on Steam. You can search it on the Steam store at Iron Harvest. So I hope you have enjoyed this brief preview of Iron Harvest, and I hope you've taken away something from this, or that you will go check out this very interesting and mechanical game from King Art Games. And we will have a full review as well as guides on lordsofgaming.net in the coming week as the game goes past review embargo and releases on Tuesday. So we hope that you guys will tune into that coverage as well, and we hope you guys have a blast with what you have seen from Iron Harvest so far, and there is much more to come in terms of content from us. So I appreciate you checking this out. Once again, I am Nicholas Downey, the assistant editor-in-chief of lordsandgaming.net. You can find me on Twitter at Undead3xvi. And of course, don't forget to follow lordsofgaming.net on Twitter as well. We will see you guys next time.